All right. Money in the Bank. 20 years in the making, we get this episode of Money in the Bank. I didn't realize it was 20 years. But let me make this very clear to you, ladies and gentlemen. Was this a spectacular chain of events that led to this Money in the Bank? No. We got a lot of what we already knew was going to happen. And I have to agree with JD. For the most part, they played it safe. Yes, they did one change. One. And we got one return, which you're going to know. If you haven't heard about it, you will hear about it. At least one return and one change of plan where you would think it would just be very predictable. But other than that, we really didn't get anything substantial. Nothing really big or groundbreaking. And I got to agree with JD. When you see how Silver Lake WWE acts, and I'm saying from now on Silver Lake, not TKO, because they're not the one who truly owns WWE. They're a part of it, but they don't own it. TKO does not own WWE, neither does Endeavor. It is Silver Lake. That is the way it is, and that is how it's going to be until Silver Lake either goes under or they get a very, very lucrative offer that is well more than a couple of $1 billion, because WWE is worth at least $4 to $6 billion. Remember how much Ari paid for it. Unless you got the bills and the billions, you ain't getting it. But they played it safe. Let's make it very clear. Triple H has played it safe a lot lately. So we really got only one change up and one return, which was due to Backlash. Opening was the women's Money in the Bank. Now, I'm not going to tell you this was a great showing for the women. With Roxanne Perez, let me give it to you like this. Stephanie Vakir didn't feel like she was anything, that she was not going to win. When it came to Julia, I didn't expect a damn thing. When it came to Alexa Bliss, of course, there was a possibility, but it would have made no sense. And then there was Rhea Ripley. Really didn't make any sense. To me, there was only two real women there that made any sense that needed to win Money in the Bank. That was Roxanne Perez or Naomi. Now, you guys know how I've been feeling about Naomi. I felt, and I was justified until they gave her the heel turn. They were using her, and she was just an afterthought. That's the truth. Then they gave us the heel turn because of Jade Cargill, and then Naomi ran with that damn thing, which I've always said Naomi had the talent to be an aggressive, nasty heel if she wanted to. If anybody remembers, if they've been around long enough, when I made a video on Naomi the Dark Knight, that was one of my early videos, that I talked about Naomi being aggressive, similar to a Rosemary. We kind of get this type of person. Since she did work in TNA, she kind of got used to knowing people there and maybe got a little bit of knowledge from Rosemary herself. And that's what you got for watch with caution. You never know. And let's make this clear. Was this a good Money in the Bank ladder match? No. I'm being honest. Stephanie's never done a ladder match in WWE in this type of scale. Julia never did. Now, you can say Roxanne Perez has had some understanding of how the WWE system works. So even though she hasn't had a ladder match, she had an Iron Survivor match, it wasn't the same, but in that type of scale, at least she's had some experience. Naomi has been there and done that, and when you come to Rhea Ripley and Alexa Bliss, both of them have been around long enough, they know how to deal with type of stuff like that. Now, mind you, when they said Naomi is going to tie with, I believe, Natalya and one other person, I can't remember who she's tied with, for having 5 of the first women's ladder matches, made me very happy. I don't remember who the other person next to Natalya is. I don't think it's maybe Charlotte, I think. I can't remember. But it makes me very happy to know that Naomi was being respected in that. And for most of the match, it felt very janky because some of the women really didn't know what to do with themselves. Stephanie didn't really know exactly what to do with herself. as well as Julia. They really didn't know this type of style. And not saying they haven't done ladder matches. Maybe they have outside of the United States and outside of WWE. But it kind of shows they didn't. But in the end, Naomi won. But it was sloppy. I'm not going to tell you that some of that match was sloppy. It looked choreographed. It looked telegraphed. And it looked really kind of sloppy. That some moves where you think they would be impactful were not. But that's the way it looked. Now, let's get to this. The men's IC title match, which was very interesting. Octagon Jr. versus Dirty Dom. Now, as you already know, Octagon Jr. works with Laredo Kid in TNA as the Aztec Warriors. And I was wondering, would they acknowledge that they should? There shouldn't be a problem because they do have the partnership. And it was, who was it? Not Wade Barrett. I believe it was Michael Cole who did acknowledge it. Because we got Wade Barrett, Michael Cole, and a Pat McAfee there. Pat did what he did, but I felt with Wade, it was actually interesting. Particularly, he was narrating most of what was being done in the very opening of the show, which actually was kind of nice to see that they let him narrate it, not Michael Cole or Pat. That's just me. But let's make this clear. Did this really mean anything for Octagon Jr.? Not really. It's due to the fact of Worlds Collide. Now, I'm making it clear, I have not seen Worlds Collide. I didn't watch it. I will watch it tomorrow, and I will review it. I'm going to review it. Maybe in the morning and afternoon. I have some stuff I had to do today, and I do have something I got to do tomorrow. But I'm going to see if I can do it early in the morning and then release it. But seeing the match was fine. Octagon is a good wrestler. So was Dom. Dom won, and I'm not surprised. I did not expect Octagon to win that title because he's working in TNA mainly. And yes, he is still recognized as a AAA wrestler, which is going to be a big question of how long is he going to be AAA. Because remember, there is no more AAA. If you think there's AAA wrestling, there is no more Lucha Libre wrestling. There isn't. It's been bought out by Silver Lake WWE. So the question is going to be, how long is Octagon going to be working for either TNA or the debunked now AAA, which doesn't know it's debunked yet. It's going to be a question how long he's going to be working like this. That he will still probably be going back and forth between TNA and the debunked AAA. It's just going to be a big question how long they're going to allow it. Because sooner or later they have to do something. Moving on. The match that really didn't have much interest for me personally, because the only outcome that made any sense was that Lyra had to lose. It wasn't like I didn't want Lyra to win, but what would it mean by Becky losing and then losing the opportunity to ever try to go for the IC title again? It made no sense. And to be honest, Lyra did the best she could with that title. It is a brand new... You could say Lyra Valkyria is similar to a Jade Cargill when she was in AEW when she got the TBS title. A brand new minted title with a very, very young wrestler always gives a major issue. Yes, they gave her the option and the opportunity to be the first IC champion, which she is. But she could not raise that title higher than it could be. She's here. The title was down here. She maybe brought it up to her own level, but it's not like she can take it beyond that. So sooner or later, they had to put it on a veteran, which was Becky. And yes, Becky cheated. Let's make it clear. This is going to keep the feud going. Becky cheated. And she got exactly what she wanted. She got her arm raised and tried to get a little more. She tried to squeeze a little blood out of the stone. She tried to make Lyra Valkyria put the damn belt on her. And she's saying, I don't want to do that. You already got me to raise your hand twice. I did it once like I promised. Now you're making me do it twice, and now you're making me put the damn belt on? Okay, I'm going to whoop your ass afterward, which she did. So the story between them is not over. And to be honest, I think this will be better for Lyra so we can get more development from her. Because she needs it. She's always been mostly one-sided. Not that we haven't seen her get angry or rage or frustrated, but we need to see more from her. Can she do more when she loses? Now, in NXT you did, but it wasn't enough because a lot of times when she lost it was against other wrestlers at her level. Now she's dealing with Becky. And honestly, this is going to be an interesting story to see how Lyra's going to have to develop her character against Becky. This is just me. You guys, comment below. Let me give you this. The men's Royal Rumble. Solo Sikoa. Seth freaking Rollins. Andrade Ila Omos. Penta as well as LA Knight. There was only one person that made the best sense. And I also agree with JD. It should have been LA Knight. Now, of course, the one that everybody else expected was going to be Seth Rollins. I didn't see Penta winning. I didn't see Solo winning. And I didn't see Andrade at all winning. He was just there to be a spot monkey. And that's not meant to be disrespectful to him. He's a great Lucha Libre wrestler. But that's what he was there for. And what we got during this match, and I'm not forgetting Le Grande Americano, who was the other dark horse. Well, technically, the best person when it was LA Knight, but the dark horse was Grande Americano. I would have loved to see him win. Seeing that Chad Gable had to fake being another person who now had Money in the Bank. I would have loved to see what they were going to do something with Chad Gable. That would have been interesting, honestly. But with Solo Sikoa coming out and the members of another bloodline faction of Reed as well as Breakker coming out fighting one another, you knew something was going to happen with Solo, and you knew there was something going to happen with Jacob Fatu. Was Jacob going to help Solo? Or was Jacob going to screw over Solo? Because from what I understand, Solo pissed him off by calling him all breaks, no brain. And that was, I think, yesterday or today. Don't know. And pretty much, Solo came out, helped to destroy Seth's boys, and then gets into the ring to give him the opportunity to try and climb the ladder. But as he's climbing and thinking that, and this Solo, my boy is by my side, he grabs him by his leg. I think I got that shot. And he says clearly, I hate you, Solo. Pulls him off the ladder, kicks him in the face, and then does his backflip onto his ass. I was hoping twice. I think it would have been good if he had done it twice. But after he managed to pop up powerbomb a Bronson Reed, I think that was enough of him showing how great he was. That's the way it felt. Admittedly, I am kind of worried about Jeff Cobb. Because when you saw Braun Breaker spear him into the guardrail, the padded one, his head knocked off one of the containers, the lockers they have there, those portable lockers. And it looked like he might have got his brains dung around a little bit because he really hit hard. He went boom. You could see when he hit that locker. So I'm hoping he's okay. But in the end, that's what you get. And you got to admit, two things that look good. Grande Americano doing most of his work was good. And seeing that stupid ladder was funny. I admit, I liked it. Now, before we get to the final match, here's what I didn't like. The advertisement. Let's make this very clear. The Prime advertisement is annoying. Don't care about it, didn't like it. Then, All-American Vodka, I believe that was called. That one was spotlighted more than once. Then, what was that with Jey Uso, with Biggie Langston, and a damn donkey trying to talk about money apps? That was stupid. But it just felt like too much advertisement. I mean, it was way less than normal, but it felt like too much advertisement. And then we finally got the ad for WrestleMania next year, WrestleMania 42. And again, people are not happy. And instead of doing Louisiana, I believe, not Louisiana, New Orleans. I believe it was New Orleans. Originally, they got the spot, and then they pulled it away, and now they're going right back to to Las Vegas. We already knew they were going to Las Vegas, but now they made the announcement openly. And as I said before, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say it again. This is not a pro wrestling company. This is a satellite company owned by now a shared equity firm called Silver Lake. They don't care about pro wrestling. They care about money. And let's make it very clear. All that matters to them is the big bucks. The biggest bucks that they can get. And I'm not taking anything away from Triple H or the creative teams or the people who rig up the ring or the wrestlers themselves. This is not about them. This is about the people who own the company. Understand? The ones who own the company determine what the company will do. And as I said again, they don't care about wrestling. They care about what wrestling can bring in money. Not that they want to have not only a good entertaining show that can bring money. No, they don't care about what the product is. They care about what the money can be brought in from the product. They're not seeing wrestling as wrestling. They're seeing it as a product. And it shows. And JD notices it. But it's just me. No, I don't know if Alex notices yet. I don't know. He notices something, but I don't know if he notices yet. Now, the final match. You get Cena and Paul versus Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes. Let's make this clear. This was like an afterthought. They didn't really need this match. I'm being honest here. I'm being 100% honest. This match didn't need to be here. Yeah, people liked the match. People didn't mind seeing the problems between Logan and John Cena where they weren't working together. And they didn't like it. Hell, seeing Logan do that helo and land on Jey Uso on the reinforced table and it imploding was not bad. I'm not saying the match was garbage. I'm just saying it didn't really need to be here. It could have actually been on Raw. That's the truth. There was no stakes here. None. Now, mind you, when the match was over, and I did wait to see anything was extra, and you did see Cody trying to make it very clear. He wanted people to be on the side of Jey because when Raw shows up, this Monday, Gunther and Jey will have their match. And he's trying to get a little bit of interest in the people, at least in Los Angeles, to do it. But did they really need this match? No. But what made it interesting, the match, was a return of R-Truth. Jumping in the ring, wearing all black, beating the crap out of John Cena, taking the mask off, nailing him in the face with a belt, and then running away. I will say, the show was okay. The ladder match for the men was fine. The ladder match for the women was sloppy. Becky was predictable. Naomi winning was hopeful, but not predictable, because they thought it was either going to be Rhea Ripley or Alexa Bliss. They did not think it was going to be at all Julia, Stephanie Vaquer, or Roxanne Perez. Now, I would have gone for Roxanne or Naomi, but we got Naomi, which was a good hope. And now seeing that R-Truth has shown back up on TV, I do not know if he is signed again. And I'll make this clear. We're finished. The show is now done. But let's talk about what we actually got here from Silver Lake WWE. Backlash. Let's make it clear. The reason R-Truth came back wasn't because this was part of some elaborate story. No. They legitimately got rid of him. They did. This wasn't a joke. They legitimately got rid of him. As far as the reports are concerned, he was done with the company. They brought him back because of the backlash people got. Well, the backlash that Silver Lake got. That's the reason they brought him back. That's the only reason they brought him back. They don't give two damn flips about R-Truth, no matter he's worked there 17 years. They brought him back because of the backlash only, because he shouldn't be back. It shouldn't. I do not see this as a storyline. This was no damn storyline. He was done. They did not re-sign his contract. His contract was finished. It wasn't like Michael Cole said that they couldn't come to terms with a contract. No, They didn't want to renew his contract or do an extension. He was finished. He had no 90-day clause or anything in anything because they didn't want to re-sign him for either an extension or a new contract. Nothing. They brought him back only because of the backlash. And that shows how this company is. The only reason they brought him back was because of backlash. They should have never fired him in the first place because there was a lot that he could still do. But as everyone has said, this is about this. And remember, he's been there 17 years. He had a very possibly lucrative type of contract before the extension or new contract could have been given to him. They wanted to make less. I mean, if they couldn't make him have a pay reduction, like in TNA, remember, TNA did a pay cut, and that pay cut is still in effect. With R-Truth, you want to make a bet, they wouldn't have made him do a pay cut. They just got rid of him outright because they thought could save some money. They got rid of Carlito. He was only there for 2 years. Whether he did much there or not is not the point. He was there for 2 years. R-Truth been there 17 years since he left TNA, and he made good money being the most entertaining person there that can turn on a dime like Kurt Angle. He can make any angle look good, just like Kurt Angle could. He can do anything. He was plugged into something like a Dolph Ziggler. If they needed a wrestler who can, in case of emergency, break glass, as everyone knows, Dolph did great work in the ring, even though he had almost no story. If they needed someone to wrestle that was an emergency, Dolph was their man. That was R-Truth. You plugged him into anything, he could make it funny and entertaining. And he was someone that everyone respected and everyone went to because they trusted him. Then they got rid of him. The outcry was so loud, they brought him back. I don't know if it's permanent. I don't know if this is just a temporary thing. I don't know if they gave him a new extension to a contract or a new contract, or was this just something? But this is what we got. And this is just me. Peace.